Hey folks, welcome to another show of Why I Joined EXP. Today I have the great Frank Panunto on the call with me today with me, and Frank is the growth director of EXP. I've been meeting with Frank and a bunch of other great agents and EXP influencers every Tuesday at 11 a.m. my time, Mountain Standard Time. And we just kind of discussing and jamming about EXP and why we all joined and why we think it's great, and basically why we're promoting it to other agents in our marketplaces. Frank, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bryon, thank you so much. Heck of an introduction. I don't know about the great part of it. I might have you replay that a couple of times for my wife, just so she can keep hearing it over and over, which is really cool. I'll put it on the loop. But no, it's great to be here with you. And yeah, I mean, let's get into it. We meet every week, and I think there's so much out there. There's so many questions about EXP, and a lot of people, especially those that come from more of a traditional brokerage, they don't really understand the concept. And it's an interesting thing because if you haven't seen it, it almost sounds too good to be true. So a lot of times what we do is we talk about the different things that we have and the reasons why people come here. Like your background, where were you before you came here?
RE/MAX for many, many years.
Okay, I'm a RE/MAX alum also, so I understand that model as well. But with RE/MAX, you're kind of, I don't know about you, but when I joined RE/MAX, it actually made me a better real estate agent at that point. I had been with a traditional brokerage leading up to there, and it was so comfortable being at that brokerage where you kind of live within those four walls, and everything's very comfortable for you. They provide you with signs, you have a desk, you have all the stuff that you need, but they didn't really teach me how to lead generate and how to be a self-sufficient, sustainable real estate business. Once I got to RE/MAX and I had to start writing that check every month, it made me really hustle and learn some things.
Right.
But you're also on a hamster wheel there. So something what opened your eyes to make you jump from RE/MAX to EXP? What was the one thing that kind of triggered in you?
Well, for me, in the end, actually, it was the one thing, you know what it was? It's interesting. It was the Instagram story, believe it or not. It was actually Tom Ferry was doing an Instagram, ask me anything. And someone posed the question, Tom, how important is brokerage? And Tom answered the question by saying, it's very important, especially if there's a great collaboration, or actually, I think he said good collaboration in your brokerage. And that was the moment I was deciding I was leaving my brokerage because the collaboration was terrible.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, right? So you just hit on something that I think is probably the biggest part of the confusion out there of what we're all about, right? Because we're a cloud-based company. So I don't understand what that means. You mean you don't have an office to go to every day? You don't have this, you don't have that? We have it all. And I think that's what people don't understand. So going back to the example I had in the beginning, when I was with a traditional brokerage, I lived within those four walls. My broker was there. That was kind of my geographical center of my world. But how can you really grow? You don't really know what's outside of there. And everything you did was kind of within that little circumference. What happens when the broker's not there and you have an issue? What happens when the broker or manager's not there and you have a problem with your accounting and your paycheck? What happens if that person's not there or they're busy doing something else and you have a computer issue? Who do you go to? It kind of jams your whole day up. Take the other piece of that. When I was at RE/MAX, it was a complete opposite. At least my experience was you were on an island by yourself. There was no support. So one place I had too much support, sort of, in a way that it made it comfortable. And the other place I had zero support, but it made me run more. But both of those situations didn't allow me to grow. Like how was I going to grow? Neither one of those models understood expansion. So how are you going to teach me how to expand? Neither one of those models had an exit strategy. So I didn't even know what that was. When I came here, Bryon, it was like somebody opened the garage door and all the sunlight finally came in. I could see everything out into the distance. It's like, all right, so we don't have brick and mortar. We don't need it, but brokerage is important.
Right.
What I think people confuse brokerage with brick and mortar. It's not the same thing.
No.
Okay. Because there are franchises out there And the message of the corporate headquarters may be one thing, but the farther you get away from that headquarters, a lot of franchises, it's a much different company within the company, right?
Yeah.
But is that not a brokerage? Okay. Here, we are one company. We are not a franchise. And I think people need to understand that. So it is one message. We don't have those four walls. They have been removed. So now I get to collaborate with people like you on a weekly basis. Remind everybody where you are again.
Calgary, Alberta.
Calgary, Alberta. I'm in Wilmington, Delaware. Eat your heart out, by the way. So,
And,
you know, we are.
And it's so true. Like in terms of the collaboration, I feel like you're like, I've had colleagues that are down the hall from me at Remax for 15 years. I feel closer to you, Frank.
Yeah. So that's my point, right? My point is, think about all the people you have at your fingertips here.
Yeah.
Think about the opportunities that you have. You know, when you talk about that, we have 50 plus live trainings on a weekly basis, taught by agents, for agents at any level. You could be a brand new agent. You could be somebody's doing 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, $200 million a year in sales. You still have somebody to go to learn more. Whereas if you're in a traditional brokerage, what if you're the top person in the office? Who's your peer group?
Right.
Who's going to help you grow? Right? What if you're that new agent in that office? You don't want to bother the people above you because you know they don't have any time and you're afraid, you always feel weird about that. And then you're that middle person. You're trying to help the guy that's below you that they're trying to learn, but you're still trying to learn. The guy on top of you, they understand what I mean? You don't have that. Where here, we don't have that issue.
No.
You know what I'm talking about. We talk to people. We have access to people on a daily basis. Internationally, there's always somebody there to help you. And there's always somebody there to help lift you up. So when you talk about collaboration, I've never seen anything where quite like this, where people are saying, hey, Bryon, here's my playbook. You can have it. Because here's one thing I've learned in real estate. I've been doing this for 28 years.
Right.
If it works in one part of the world, it's going to work in another. Okay. You may have to tweak it a little bit to meet what your specific market is, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel in real estate.
No.
All you got to do is get on the right path and follow it, whichever path is the right one for you.
Exactly.
So it's like, I mean, how has the collaboration part of EXP helped you, Bryon, and helped you in your career?
Well, so what the interesting part of that is, okay, collaboration, and you talk about collaboration being, we think that collaboration needs to be like, a brick and mortar within a brick and mortar system or situation. So I was finding when I actually went to my office, I remember going to my office the first time and being really excited because I decided to bite into Remax and, and they have market share in my city and balloon, the signs everywhere. And so I bit into that and I was so excited to go there. I remember the first day, the second day, the first week, a month, and it was shut down, blinders on. It was wow. So this is it. And so actually that's how I behaved. That's what I became. I came in that office too. So I walk into my office, down the corridor, into my thing, shut the door behind me, boom. I was full in, blinded, doing my thing. And I did it for years. And sold a lot of real estate. I sold a lot of real estate and still, learned all the skills to, survive in that sort of model. But since the EXP, everyone's success is kind of counted on my success, and everything I give to especially my group or my organization, but entire organization, everything I give, it benefits me. Everything I can share and learn, it sort of comes back to me, especially anyone that that I'm attracting into the organization. And so everyone who's doing well in EXP, it's going to draw more agents under this model. And so the collaboration is real. I have my organization that I belong to. There's just so much talent in my line of people in EXP that every one of them is invested in my success. They all want me to succeed. So they're all they're just handing out and offering and pouring into me. That's what I'm finding. So that's the collaboration that's real.
Yeah, but everything you're talking about speaks to the culture of the company, which was a long way for me to get that back to. The culture here is unbelievable. Yeah. And I think when you have an owner or a founder who was a working real estate agent, I can tell you, being a part of all the meetings, I'm in a lot of meetings with our founder and all the with the executive team. And when Glenn gets on the calls, Bryon, whatever we're talking about, he always has one question. How's that benefit the agent?
Right.
How's that benefit the agent? How's that benefit the agent? I mean, he just put out the numbers for the fourth quarter. They were just out because we're publicly traded. $202 million went back to the agents in the form of revenue share in the fourth quarter.
Right.
$202 million. Now, he could have put that in his pocket.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And this is revenue. So, but that's not the way this model works. That's built in as an expense for our model, that 50% of the revenue that comes into this company is going back to the agents. That is incredible.
It is.
It's incredible when you think about it. So, let's fast forward to a couple of things. Again, I've been doing this for 28 years, and all those years of being on a hamster wheel, going from transaction to transaction to transaction, year after year after year, and high production and all that. What was my exit strategy going to be? How was I going to get out? When I got into real estate, I was a 25-year-old single guy. You got nothing but time. You're taking the world on fire by the horns. You got nothing but time. I'm in my 50s now. Now I'm married. I have 4 daughters. I'm not that little, 25-year-old recluse anymore where you don't care about anything. Think about getting out of the business when you're first getting into it. No. Now I'm at a point to where I'm like, how do I get out? Right? Like, what's the end game for me?
Right.
So probably the biggest attractor for me to joining this company were all the different revenue shares that we have, and the different ways of making money. And the one thing you hear all the time is about diversity, right? You got to diversify your portfolio and your revenue streams. Well, think about it here. I don't call it a commission structure. I call it a compensation plan. Because we are much more than just commission, are we not?
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Everybody comes in on an 80-20 split. We all have a $16,000 cap. Phenomenal. Great. And that's super competitive in the market. But we're much more than that. So we have this great commission structure, but we also have company awarded stocks. You get stock when you do your first transaction every year. You get stock when you cap every year. The company just gives to you. You didn't pay for it. It was given to you.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to participate. So there's 2 streams. Here's a third stream. We have what's called the equity program. You have the opportunity to take 5% of every commission you make and buy stock at a 10% discount. So you're already making money the day you bought it. Yeah. That's a third way. Now, of course, that's optional, but why wouldn't you? That's basically our 401k, if you will, right? You're putting money away. So I've got a very aggressive commission structure. I have stock that the company actually gives me for doing what I'm doing anyway. I'm selling houses. I have stock that I can purchase. There's stock that the company will give you when you become what's called an icon agent in this company. So real quickly, we have a $16,000 cap. So once you've capped, you have an opportunity to become what's called an icon agent. And what happens here is once you go to 100%, you're paying $250 per transaction. That caps at $5,000. So essentially, that's about an additional 20 transactions. Once you've gotten to that, you have the opportunity to get the $16,000 back in the form of stock. The company's going to reward you back. So there's a 4th way of making money. There's a 5th way of making money. It's what we call revenue share, right? So, and this is what you were talking about before, about your organization and the foundation that you're building. So we all are stockholders in this company, which means we all have ownership in the company. And you just touched upon it in the last time you were talking, and that, when one of us wins, we all win. And I think at the very core, that's why our culture is what it is. I think that's why everybody wants to help everybody as much as they do. Bryon, when you're having a great day and you're winning, I'm winning because the company's winning. And we're stockholders, not just in the real estate part, all the different companies that we own, we're a part of all of that.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, I've been thinking a little bit this week. Yesterday, I had a discussion with someone about actually caring, like the caring. And what I'm finding about this company, primarily by our, again, founder, Glenn Sanford, is he's the kind of guy that cares. And so he started this company as a result of actually being a real estate agent in like 2001. He started the same year I did from my records or whatever. And well, I buried in and just like did my thing and earned commissions after commissions. He thought of a better way. Now, about the carrying. So some of the companies that he has started as a result of this, like actually, Frank, I don't even know, but like Success Coaching and Success Magazine. Talk to us a little bit about Glenn Sanford and what he's done with some of these companies based around him caring, really.
Well, let's talk about the one that he just started. That's even bigger than that. Success Health.
Right.
So how many real estate companies have a health division?
Right.
I mean, think about it. Between the health benefits you can get, between all the stuff, he's so worried about our well-being. There are so many different programs just in that division to make sure that we're watching our weight, we're eating properly, that we're getting exercise, that we're getting rest. There's an emphasis on all of that. But we're supposed to be a real estate company, right? So, that to have an emphasis on health, to have an emphasis on the success coaching that you're talking about, headed by Jared Robbins, right? You might have heard of his dad, Tony.
Right.
To have these kinds of people in your organization that we are dealing with, Revenos and all these different platforms. The one thing I get to see when I'm in these meetings, Bryon, is that he doesn't just accept anybody into this company. He wants the best of the best.
Right.
So all the tools that he presents to the agents that are available to us to use have been vetted, and in his eyes are the absolute best thing for the agent. And I can't make it any more clear than that. Combine that with the fact that he's taken 50% of his revenue and given it back to us.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, there's not too many owners out there that are willing to do that.
Yeah.
So when you talk about being agent centric, which is a word that's overused in our industry, you and I both know that.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is. Glenn Sanford has. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we all benefit from that. So I always challenge people when they say, "Oh, well, we have a very agent-centric company." I'm sure you do, but it's not the best one. We have that one, and I can prove it. And I can prove it. So there's a difference between saying it and proving it for sure. But when I'm out talking to people on a daily basis, I'm helping agents like yourself, or if I'm talking to people and companies that are thinking about joining us, I ask them a couple of questions. One is, are you building a business or are you building a legacy? That's really important. For me, it's taken me this long to find a way to build a legacy for my family. Right. Really important to me, And then I always ask this, I have this little model that I use, and it's where are you now? And I want agents to think about this. And people who are maybe listening to this podcast or people that you're talking to, where are you now? Where are you trying to get to? What vehicle are you going to use to get there? And most importantly, who's going to help you?
Right. Nice.
So when you think about those 4 questions in our model, the one that you and I use, we can answer all 4 of those questions very easily. And we have access to all the people, all the vehicles, everything we need to achieve the goal that we're trying to achieve. So it gives me a sense of comfort. But I can also tell you, it gives me a sense of pride to be a part of a company like this. And, one thing I keep saying to people that I talk to is, I'm having a really good time in real estate again. I'm having fun. And I haven't had a lot of fun. I've been very busy the past 10, 15, 20 years, but it's a grind. It's a grind. It's a grind. Real estate is not easy. It's the best profession I've ever been in. I would never want to do anything else, but let's not fool ourselves. It's hard.
It is hard. Frank, on that note, I was doing up a bit of a systems procedure for my own, small team here today. And I said, hey, and one of my last key points was, hey, let's have some fun. Let's put the fun back in this. And I listed a couple of bullet points on how to in our own production business. How are you personally, like, how is it? How are you having fun on a daily or a weekly basis in the business? What's fun for you these days?
I'm going to tell you, I'm glad you asked that question, actually. It gets back to the collaboration pieces. I have conversations with so many people on a weekly basis at so many different levels. And I love that. And I love having conversations with people in different parts of the country and in different parts of the world. So when I talk about breaking out of those 4 walls, this is what I'm talking about, Bryon. You and I have a great conversation right now. I love this. I'd much
This is
rather
fun.
be doing this. Well, I would much rather do this than be at a home inspection right now. You understand?
Right. Yeah.
I'm talking to somebody in a different country right now about how we can improve our lives, why something that we've become a part of has already impacted our life, and how we could give this gift to somebody else. That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Knowing that when I look at my schedule every day and know what my meetings are. So you talked about our Tuesday meetings that we have. You know, we have collaboration with, 30, 40, 50 people from around the country and in different countries. And we all come together every week to talk about best practices. What's working for you? What's working for you? This works. Well, I need help with that. When people leave a conversation that we've all been a part of and they've gotten value from it, that's fun for me. That's my definition of fun.
Absolutely.
That's very satisfying. It's a very rewarding outcome. And that's what I like. It's different every day. I learn every day. When you're in production like you are, and like I had been in the past, you're grinding so hard. You learn from your transactions, but you're not learning from people a whole lot, right? You just don't have time.
Right. Yeah.
Where when we have this kind of forum where we can talk to each other, Bryon, I learn every day. I've learned more in my time at EXP, honestly, about business than I probably have my previous 20 some years.
Right.
I'm not just saying that. It's true.
No,
the level of conversations that we're having.
Yeah,
and because the level of the agents that we're around. Think about the people who we are around on a daily basis that we're learning from. What's about people doing 30, 40, $50 million a month in sales? And I think what people need to understand is, well, I don't understand how they do that. Well, here's what I do know. They only have 7 days a week, just like you and I. They only have 24 hours in a day, just like you and I. They just do things a lot differently. So they don't have an advantage of time. They have different systems. They have different processes. For us to have access to that and to learn and to be able to share that, it's incredible. That, to me, is fun. I'm learning.
It's fun. Yeah, absolutely.
How about you?
Right. What do I do to have fun? Well, I remind myself of, well, first off, my wife. I'm very lucky that my wife is lots of fun, and she she really makes sure that or really encourages this fun. But well, for today, for example, I'm like, let's put the fun back in this. I was doing a checklist on we conditionally sell a property. So now what we're doing, Frank, to have some more fun, just like injecting a little fun into our business, is when it's conditionally sold, it's 5 business days until conditions are removed, or 10 or something. We send out 10 donuts for every day of condition period. It's a donut a day. And that's actually, it's just a little attempts to be putting the fun, like having fun with this, being able to get that call from that seller or person saying, hey, I just got donuts. This is sweet. Like, and ha, ha, ha. This is just a great, like great fun, actually. And it reminds me to have fun like when I see that checklist. Oh, donuts, got to send the donuts.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, I love that, by the way. Absolutely love it. And remember, what's funny is that's the thing they're going to remember the most.
Yeah, it's cool.
The fun
Frank,
that you injected. So
you have a championship basketball game to coach tonight. In interest of our viewers, our listeners today, and your own time constraints. What 1 or 2 things would you like to leave our listeners with? If someone maybe had more questions on EXP or want to connect with yourself, or they're whether they're not in your state or they're in Israel, for example, or South Africa, what are some things you'd like to leave our listeners with, as well as if they want to connect, how would they reach out?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One is the people in your area. Obviously, I hope they would reach out to you to answer any questions they have. You and I can certainly jump on a Zoom and talk to anybody if they have any questions. But I would direct everybody to exprealty.ewebinar.com. That's exprealty.ewebinar.com, where we have a video that runs 7 days a week of EXP Explained. It kind of goes into more detail about our entire model. There's slide decks on there. There's all kinds of information on there. And there's also a way to contact us. So I would direct everybody there. That's the US version. I know there's a Canadian version that's also getting ready to launch next week. So you're going to have your own. But a lot of the information is basically the same. Some of the costs are a little bit different. Not very much. But the overall model and the concept is exactly the same.
Good. Awesome. And Frank, how about you? Are you like on Instagram, or how can our listeners follow you? Or
Nah, man, Bryon, look, I'm 54 years old and I'm not real tech savvy, but they can certainly send me an email and they can get to me any way they want. If they go to the EXP Growth webpage, just Google EXP Growth. My picture's on there with everybody else and my contact information. They can certainly get to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
we'll link to that in the show notes as well. And if you're finding that, it's a Frank and last name is Panunto. Am I saying that right?
You are saying it perfectly right. Panunto. Very good.
Now, where I'm from, well, I won't get myself stuck too far. Is that Italian, Frank? Are you originally from like that? And when did your family immigrate to the Eastern United States?
Okay, so my mom was born here. Her parents were born in Italy. My mom was born here. My dad was born in Italy, didn't come here until he was 36 years old.
Oh, wow.
And actually, before he was here, he was living in Montreal. So I have an unbelievable amount of relatives in Montreal, Canada, that I'm very close with. So Montreal is my second home.
Nice.
So I am Canadian by default, by family tie. And so my dad,
Nice.
he had, and they didn't have me till he was 45. So he's passed away. Yeah, he's passed away since. But he it's an interesting story to come here. It inspires me because I can't imagine being 36 years old, moving to another country where you have no friends, can't speak the language, don't know what you're doing, and making a life and a family for yourself. That's pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool. Frank, let's stay. We'll see you on Tuesday, actually, your next builder's call. But really appreciate your time here today, and let's do it again after a while.
Hey, anytime, man. I enjoy spending time with you, Bryon. You're a great guy. I just enjoy it. I look forward to seeing you every week.
And wishing you and your team much success in the basketball championship tonight.
Raiders.
Go.
Thank
Go,
you.
go, go,
Thank
go.
you.
Thanks again.